Something that I've looked into is why does organic dating or dating in the wild seems to be to generate better results? Why are we more successful when we meet people in the wild versus when we date online, or even if we go and do something intentional, like go to a speed dating event or go to a matchmaking thing or a mixer? How many of you have thought the thought, I'll probably meet my person when I stop looking?
Sim.
That's what they all say, right? Many of us think, well, what we're doing now isn't working, so maybe if we just stop looking, that person will somehow appear.
Yes,
Um,
when I was 30, I could afford that.
yeah, so, or people say it happens when you least expect it. People say online just feels harder than meeting someone in real life. Or some people just
Yeah.
go, I never date online, I only date in real life. There's nostalgia for the old-fashioned ways, right? The old-fashioned way of meeting someone through friends, bumping into them in a bookstore or etc. So people also, even though they want to do this organically, they also have some fears. I'm afraid to approach. Women don't seem open. Men are intimidated. People are weary, right? So we want to do this organically, but then we're also like, hold on, the fear is here. We don't want to like put ourselves out there, and God forbid we experience a negative emotion. So, this isn't the universe playing tricks on you, right? This is real, repeatable dynamics happening here. So, I'm just going to break it down. The truth is that when you're actively trying to meet someone, you have it in your head, I am trying to meet someone. I am on an online site. I am at a speed dating event. You subtly shift into performance and evaluation mode. So what that does is that you stop being in presence, and you're not in receptivity, and you're not in connection. You are in performance and evaluation. And attraction does not happen in performance or evaluation. Attraction happens when you are in the present moment, when you are just being yourself, when you're relaxed. You're not being performative, right? So what changes when we're trying to date is that, think about speed dating or online dating or even like intentional parties that, where people try to match each other up. Even if you're confident, your nervous system is running a different script. The nervous system runs a script like, could this be the one? Am I wasting my time? I hope this works. Please tell me there's someone decent here, you know? And so, again, what happens is we have an agenda, and that agenda creates three invisible effects. It creates evaluation energy, which kills chemistry. So, in intentional dating settings, both people are unconsciously asking, are you good enough for me? Am I good enough for you? Right? And that puts you in this assessment mode. It's not connection mode, it's assessment. And the assessment kind of flattens the spontaneity. It reduces playfulness. It short circuits curiosity because chemistry requires openness and authenticity. And even if you're politely judging someone, it removes the chemistry from it. Think about when you bump into someone spontaneously somewhere. You bump into someone in an elevator or a grocery store. There is no agenda. You didn't go to the grocery store with the agenda of meeting someone, right? Or similarly, if you bumped into someone in an elevator, but for whatever reason, suddenly there's a spark, okay? So that's kind of the difference between the spontaneity of in the wild versus when you are being intentional with your dating. The reason number two is that desire collapses into outcome attachment. Okay, what does outcome attachment mean? So when you're looking, you are future oriented, right? Is this going to be my person? You're thinking about, are they compatible with me? Do they have long-term viability? Could we have a shared lifestyle? Are they on the same timeline as me? And again, like this gets you out of the present moment. And again, attraction only exists in the present moment. And so when you meet someone unexpectedly, you don't imagine a future with them. There's no pressure to convert the moment into a date or an exchange of phone numbers or anything like that. You're not monitoring yourself for how you're presenting, how are people perceiving you. And the paradox is that's actually when connection happens, is when you're in the present moment and you're fully authentically being yourself. So there's no ego, there's no attachment, there's nothing like that. And then number three, authentic energy shows up only when you are relaxed. Okay. So this means that your voice is natural, your humor is effortless, your body is soft, your eye contact is easier, and your nervous system is regulated. And that is when polarity happens. That is when attunement happens to the other person. That is the very opposite of what we try to do when we are, for example, if you're a speed dating event, we're trying to impress. We're overperforming. This is the hyperachiever, right? Overperforming. We are over explaining. This is the pleaser. We're over asserting, the controller. We are overprotecting, the hypervigilant. And in the end, none of this is sexy. We're in completely different energy from what we want to be in. Um, Number four is the context matters more than you think. So, intentional dating spaces compress your individuality. What that means is you get a lot of that was nice, that was fine, that was pleasant, but nothing actually sparked because spontaneous meetings happen in the context of what you're actually doing in real life. You see someone in motion, you see them in their natural environment. You see them doing something that they enjoy or maybe that they're good at, something that they're, really good at. And so that context carries information. When someone sees you laughing with your friends, when someone sees you leading a meeting, when you are dancing, when you're volunteering, or, maybe you're playing pickleball, that is real information. That is real data. And so, the paradox is that being intentional about your life is attractive, so we're not saying don't be intentional, but what we're trying to do is remove the attachment to the outcome, meaning do not get attached to this has to result in me meeting someone. This has to result in one or two dates. This needs to convert into XYZ. And again, like we have lived a long life at this stage in our life, and we have had many experiences that have shaped our outlook. We're more protective. We maybe have higher standards. We evaluate people a certain way. We're more experienced with disappointment, and so even the mere act of trying carries more emotional weight, and so your nervous system is just being a little bit on cautious. It's kind of on alert. And so the reframe is that people who meet partners, it's not that they are passive, right? They're not just sitting home and all of a sudden they meet their partner, but they design their lives in a way that they can connect with people, that spontaneous connection can actually happen instead of being in the hunt mode, instead of being in that search energy. So, just follow your curiosity, move your body through the world in places that speak to you. Talk to people without having an agenda, just because you're curious to learn more about them, and again, like when you are available and not searching, that is the energetic difference. So, I mean, I just want to end with you don't meet people when you stop caring about meeting people. You meet people when you stop trying to create an outcome from the moment, because that is agenda, that is evaluative energy, that is assessment, right? When we're not really in our connection mode. And yeah, and just be present. I mean, whatever you need to do to drop yourself in the present moment, don't future trip, don't tell them that, they're your soulmate or that see a big, happy future ahead of you with that person. Just be in the moment. Like, who are they? What are they? What is the experience of the two of you being in that moment together? And instead of saying to yourself, I am here to find someone, like even people come to this call and maybe they subconsciously have a thought, maybe I'll find someone on this call, right? Or they go to a party and they think maybe I'll meet someone at this party. So instead of being in that kind of energy, the shift is to say, I am open to connection wherever I am. Connection can happen anywhere, can honestly happen standing in line for the bathroom at a restaurant. It can happen, like walking out of the doctor's office. I,
Dunkin'
I know
Donuts.
I know
Good.
people who have met each other because they were in the waiting room at the divorce lawyer. They met in the same waiting room because they were both using the same divorce lawyer. So honestly, like people can meet each other anywhere. Like that's like the last place you might expect to meet your next partner, right? Is going to visit your divorce lawyer. But anyway, it happens. So, just think about the energetic shift that happens when you are quote unquote not looking. How do you carry yourself? How do you show up? What energy are you in? What are you thinking? Versus the energy you're in when you are really trying to meet that person. So, that is what I have for you. Curious what people think of it all. What do you
I
guys
mean, it
think?
makes sense, but you have to put yourself in out into the society more. I think that's what you're saying, right? You're saying like you stop isolating in the house and get out and, live your life or do things and then you'll run into somebody.
Well, again, like we don't want to have attachment to the outcome that if I just live my life, eventually someone will appear. We want to just live our lives anyway. What, even if nobody appears, you know? We just want to live our
Yes.
lives. We want to do what feels good to us. We want to connect with people. And again, like we can be intentional about dating, but without having that attachment to something has to result from this effort that I'm putting in this specific thing. Like if you sign up for a dating site and you spend, $50 a month, if you say to yourself, I need to make this work, I need to show some kind of result from this investment, that is attachment to outcome. And again, like maybe it will happen, but again, the energy that we approach things with is ultimately most important. So
I,
I'm gonna take some other questions. People have their hands raised. So I'm gonna go to Prachi.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I really like what you said about being in your heart and not in your head. I think that's what you're saying. When you make a connection, when you say don't make it about the outcome, don't be here because here is where the connection happens.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, exactly. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Prachi.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
So are you basically saying that you don't believe in the dating sites?
No,
No.
I'm not saying that. I actually think dating sites are awesome for getting you to meet more people. What I'm saying is that people who say dating sites don't work is because of the way that they approach dating sites and the energy that they put behind their messages. So they think that there's a formula, because they're attached to the outcome, right? The outcome is I can meet someone, I can go on a date, right? And so they look for the exact perfect opening line. They looked for the exact pacing of the messages, like and so that's attachment to outcome. They're not being themselves. They're not being authentic. They're not just like going and connecting and giving people space to show them who are you,
Oh,
right?
so
Dating
okay.
sites can absolutely work. I am not against them at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a great avenue. It's not necessarily the avenue, but it's a great avenue. It's a great option.
It is the best option for expanding the number of people that you meet. Because that's where people are, and you know that they're interested and they want to meet someone. And anyway, I have a lot to say about dating sites, but I'm not going to get into it on here. Thank you, Scott. I'm going to go to Marlena.
Hi, Desi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think maybe you just covered it with your last statement. I'm having a hard time connecting the correlation between online dating and organic dating. I just, all of the positive comments were made about organically seeing somebody, being with that person's a connection that just happened out of the blue. Whereas on the dating sites, we are so intentional that it kind of I keep getting this phrase in my mind that, the person seeking love is a fool. I mean, it's like, how can you find that connection without having all of these prerequisites? I guess is the right word.
Can you tell me a little bit more what you mean by prerequisites?
Well, do they check this box? Are they this? Are they that? Do they look a certain way, or do they respond a certain way? Do we have common interests? Whereas if you're meeting somebody in the grocery store or wherever, you have just, is this a turnip or is this a rutabaga? I mean, it's kind of like, just have this immediate commonality. Whereas with your profile and your likes, and I like salsa dancing, or I like history, or there's so many things that are intricate to who we are and take so much time and interpersonal relation, to be together, to see that person, to be together. Whereas online, I find it so, I don't know, it's just, it seems forced to me. It seems like,
Absolutely.
everybody has to be a certain way online, and make sure you don't say this or you don't say that, or you maybe ghost, or they may take it the
Well,
wrong way. There's no
it-
spontaneity to me.
here's what I want to say. Everyone who's online also has a real life, right? They're also in the world. Like they're not just online. They go to the grocery store, they go to bookstores, they go to concerts, they go to vacations, they do all those things. And they might meet someone in real life, but they are also online because online just expands their options. There are people that you would meet online that you would never meet if you were just, trying to date organically. The point, the whole point of this exercise of trying to compare organic versus online, or even kind of intentional dating events where you go with an agenda to meet someone, is that when you're coming at it from an evaluative energy, when you're online, you're evaluating people. Do they look a certain way? Am I attracted to them? You evaluate their education, their interests, their lifestyle, whatever their bio says about them. Like you're kind of in this evaluative energy, which is the opposite of, chemistry, which happens in the wild. Now, yes, we can evaluate, but we don't want to evaluate from our checklist, from our saboteurs, right? Like the stickler might want to have, to 100 different criteria that they have to meet, or the avoider, might just be browsing and browsing and browsing and never even message anyone because they're just avoiding making a connection. So we need to understand, are we wanting to connect with someone because we genuinely feel that there's something about their profile that spoke to us, that moved us, beyond surface level pictures and attraction and whatnot? Is there something about them? Maybe the context of their picture, maybe the fact that you saw them, and they were climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and that's on your bucket list. Maybe something about them that intrigued you, and that you approach them from that connective energy, from the heart, like Prachi said, instead of going through the list of criteria and being in that performative, evaluative mode, right? Because that's where we're no longer operating from the heart. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, and I'm going to say, I mean, we're past 7:30, so for those of you that need to drop, please go ahead and drop. I will not keep you on here any longer, but if you do want to stay and continue, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Okay, Jim.
I was curious. I love your idea of chance encounters, meeting someone at Starbucks or in the doctor's office or at Avis Rent-A-Car. How often in your life, personally, has that happened? I'm going to guess it's very few times.
Well, I did meet someone at a work Christmas party.
And you dated him?
Yeah, we dated for a while.
Wow, well, good for you. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever happened to me. I'd be curious how many people it's ever happened to.
So what was very interesting is I met someone on a Tinder date, and I did not think that we had any chemistry. And he was a total gentleman on that date. And the funny thing is, the next day we happened to have dinner in the same restaurant, and I was there with another gentleman from work, and he was there with another woman,
Oh.
and we saw each other. This was spontaneous in the wild. We saw each other at this restaurant, and there was a complete different connection that happened that night. So it was just very funny. So anyway, it is possible that you meet in the wild, but that's why I'm saying, like, if we only rely on that, we're limiting our options. That's why we need to look at online and in the wild and social activities and through friends and through your network, etc. So all the different ways. I'm going to take the 3 more questions, guys, and then I'm going to wrap up. Okay, Marcin.
Okay, it's not a question. I just wanted to say that what you're saying about being authentic and not being in this performative state, but just this relaxed state that produces all the like the connections, and as you would say, based on what you said, that is sexy. So it validated what I shared with you earlier about going to this singles event in downtown that was actually paid. And at first I was, long story short, at first I was very like intimidated and I didn't know what to do. And then I just went like, the heck with it. I'm just gonna go out there and just have fun. And I was just like no agenda whatsoever. I wasn't trying to get anybody's phone number, even though I kind of made a joke to one woman about getting her phone number because I lost mine. But that was kind of, I didn't lose mine, but that's what I said. But anyway, so it was like no agenda, and it was just fantastic. It was like the best days, and I decided that from now on, I'm not gonna be in a performative state ever
Right.
in
Right.
any situation.
But guys, I want you to understand that when you feel the need to perform, it is because you're trying to compensate for some type of insecurity.
Yep.
If you love yourself, if you like yourself the way that you are, if you know that I'm working with a client now, and she's from Spain and she speaks English with a Spanish accent, and we're working on a few other inner saboteur issues. But one of the things she said to me is she never thought of herself as someone who would ever go to a speed dating event because she's too intimidated by speed dating. Well, a friend of hers was going and asked her to join her. And she only went to support her friend. She did not have any expectations that she would ever meet anyone at such an event. So she goes with her friend, and she says to me, Desi, I had zero, not interest, but I did not think that anybody would actually want to match with me. And she was stunned how many people had said at the end of the event that they were interested in her. She was just stunned. She did not have any clue that she would find that level of interest. Why? Because she was not trying to impress anyone. She was just being herself, supporting her friend, going through the conversations, and expecting nothing, expecting no outcome, right? And I think that is, and she looks, she's a 50-year-old woman. I would not say, she's well put together, but I would not say that she is any sort of, extraordinary, supermodel. I mean, she is just a very nice woman. So I just want to say her energy was very friendly. And this is how she must have come off, as just being authentic and friendly. Okay, I'm going to go to Margaret and then Gabriel. Go ahead, Margaret.
I got to a point where I decided I was just, it's like the same version of what you're explaining. Like I just tell myself, I'm just going to meet friends or make friends. I'm going to an event to meet or make friends.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, because people have to like you for you, right?
Yeah.
Even friends, when you try to make friends, they like you for you. It's not about performing, impressing, convincing. It's not about any of that. Okay, I'm going to go to Gabriel and then Bala, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, first of all, this is a great presentation. I think your slides were fantastic. The information you provided was very edifying as far as what I call searching in myself. What I find is that I've followed 99% of what you're talking about, and I've failed to make any kind of a connection. Speed dating, organic, going out, that's not the issue. What my question is going forward, moving each step as I go through this journey, where do I find the energy to continue? That, after all these failures, where do I look to find that energy to keep moving on?
Well, I think, Gabriel, I think it comes from your vision. I mean, it comes from creating a vision for what you want and knowing that that is possible for you, and knowing that, the desire for connection, the desire for partnership is very human. Can we live without it? Of course, we can live without it. Do we want to live without it? I think most people want to have a partner. And so I think the question to ask is it worth it? Is it worth me finding the energy, making space for the energy, conserving my energy so that I do have it to apply it to something that matters to me? I mean, think about all the energy we spend on things that do not, give us the same fulfillment as a partner. All the chores we do in life, all the things, all the hours at the DMV. We spend so much energy on things that, we just know we have to do it. But in the end, I think this is something, and again, like everyone has to decide for themselves, like how much is enough, But if there's a desire in you to meet someone, I think that you should make space for that and make it a priority.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to end with I'd like to further invest in what you have to offer, because from this program, you're very intuitive. You're definitely aligned with where most of the people are with what they want to find. And so, where can I find more information about you?
Yeah, so I am going to give you a link where you can book a consultation with me, and then we can meet and chat, and then we can take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, and this is, by the way, you guys are invited to do this as well. Like I will share my scheduler link here. If you wish to book a 30-minute consultation, you can just hit the link and find a time that works for you. And I do encourage everyone to take the saboteur assessment so that we can also take a look at the results from that assessment. It's going to be in the link. This is part two. Yeah, tonight is part two. We had part one. So I will share with you a way for you to watch the replays if you're interested. I'm going to send everyone an email tomorrow. Everyone who was here tonight, you guys are going to get an email and you will find out more information about all of this stuff. Okay, Bala, you are the last person. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on age gap relationships, and what do you think is the success rate for a long-term relationship when it comes to, I don't know, younger men with older women? Like, do you think that that kind of relationship could work out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's possible for gap relationships to work. I mean, two people, if they're consenting adults, they can always make it work. I think they have their own unique challenges, especially with the age gap being the not less traditional way, which is the man being younger than the woman. But is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Is
Have
it
you seen any
socially,
instances?
have I seen successes?
No, yeah, personally, like, have you seen it instances in this group or somewhere else? Have you seen stories like that?
I don't know about this group specifically because this group tends to be 50 and over, but
Right.
I would say that, I mean, I don't know the extent of the age gap, but I have a friend and she's 7 years older than her husband and they're very happy together. I think once you get into 15 or 20 years difference, I think like, is it possible for that to work out? Sure, anything is possible. I mean, you just have to find the right person who is interested in a younger man and, who kind of is the right fit. But I don't think it's Yeah, I would never say it's impossible. If that's what you're looking for, there is someone out there who is for you, Bala. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
again,
you.
like it's all a matter of opinions, very subjective. Like 7 years may not be that much for one person. It might be huge for someone else.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was kind of hesitant. I thought you wouldn't like let me join the group initially. I mean,
Well,
because
you know what? I'm
I'm
I'm inclusive. I let everyone join who is intentionally looking to find their partner, who wants information, who wants to understand how to navigate the journey better. So I'm glad that you're all here. Okay, the quiz link, I had posted it earlier. Let me just post that again. And here we go. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much for attending and for hanging on for so long. And I do appreciate all of you coming here and participating. And I will say, if you did like this session, I would really appreciate if you would consider giving me five-star rating on the meetup. I will have more of these coming up. Haven't posted any yet, but there will be more coming up in the course of the next few months. So watch out for that. And thanks again for coming on, and I will be talking to you soon. So
Okay,
take care
thank
of
you. Oh, I
yourselves.
just wanted to say Desi is a wonderful name. It's a lovely name.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you very much, Marcin.
welcome.
It served me well. Thank you. Okay, see you
Okay,
guys soon. Bye.
all right, bye.
thank you.